I love that in your attempt to decorate the new place, you just put all your petals on a beautiful shelf.
Okay, so honestly, I didn't even do that. My mother-in-law set those petals up there for me, and I liked the way she set them up so much. I have left
Yeah,
them ever
it
since. I had
looks
to turn a
so
couple the right way up because she had some backwards,
it looks so
but
awesome.
How badass is it that you're releasing a new EP? I mean, that's I listened to the shit out of that, and obviously I'd heard a few of the songs, but there were two I hadn't.
Oh
And
yes.
so I'd heard Crooked Girl a number of times when we were there while you were filming the video, and I loved the song, and it got stuck in my head, and it remained in my head until
This moment.
literally until Jared sent me the fucking whole thing like 2 days ago, and I was like, ah, I can listen to it. I can listen to it. I can do whatever I want with this song. I can just sit here and bask in its glory. That's fine. It drove me mental, and you've no idea. Like I kept telling Marla too. Every time we would sit there and we'd listen to your stuff on GMN, and like like the Ballad of Captain Jack would come on, and I was like, that's a great song. I wish I could hear fucking Crooked Girl because it's not out yet. And I would fucking get upset, and she was like, you need to calm down. I'm like, nope, I can't. Nope, not until it's out.
Not to put salt in the wound, but since the music video, I have not listened to the song once. And I've just had these recordings. That being said, I did have to listen to it yesterday because we were deciding on submitting to Spotify playlists, which they only let you do one song now. So like it was between that one and Oysters, and like listening to it, I was like, yeah, it's a pretty good song.
Yeah, it was actually Mike that we were in between a couple songs that weren't Crooked Girl in choosing which song to submit, and it was actually Mike that suggested Crooked Girl, and we're like, you know what? Like that would be a great song to submit to Spotify. And so yeah, it's just one of those like hidden tracks that you're like, oh yeah, this is actually a pretty sweet song. So I'm glad you like it.
Hidden. Fuck off with Hidden. Man,
There's only 5 songs, not much hiding there.
Oh,
that's
like
for the song. Like you already have Crooked Step. It seems like a normal progression to get to Crooked Girl from Crooked Step. Like, man, it plays so well. And to be fair, sorry.
To be fair.
Yeah. I hadn't heard until Jared, you sent me the tracks. I hadn't heard Baby Doll or Oysters and Champagne, but obviously the other tracks I had heard over the time. But man, like that song, I had a buddy setting up. So I just got an electric kit this past weekend from a buddy of mine, and I was like, "Hey, have you heard the best Canadian metal band?" And they're like, he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you haven't been watching Facebook at all? Like, you haven't been following anything that I've sent you? He's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, well, here's the thing. So I set up. So obviously I played the ones that were already out. So To the Gallows and Blow. I was like, here you go. Here's this band. Check this shit out. And he was like, man, that's a solid fucking band. It's like, where are they from? I was like, man, that's a Toronto band. Like they're here. Like this is a thing that's happening right now. And he was like, no, shut the fuck up. That's not real. And I was like, okay, here's a song you've never heard that I've been waiting to hear. So I showed him Crooked Girl. I didn't show him Baby Doll or Oysters and Champagne. I didn't show him either of those, but I showed him Crooked Girl, and he was like, man, that's not what I expected when you said best Canadian metal band. I'm like, yeah, but do you like it? And he was like, fuck yeah. That's That's the most solid shit I've heard in a long time from just like random Canadian band. And he was like, "Yep, I'm into it."
Thank your friend for us.
Yeah, man.
Well, he'll see this. And by the way, Mike, I just have to let you know, Marla loves the promo video.
We are one in the chamber. The last 2 years have been devastating, both financially and personally, for independent artists and you. But we are excited to officially announce the release of our new album, Reload, on
April 8th, 2022.
And before we release the album, we are doing a pre-sale launch where you can win different items from some of our favorite Ontario businesses.
That's right. When you head to our online store linked below, you can pre-order the Reload package that best suits your lifestyle. We've got digital downloads, CDs, t-shirts, whiskey tumblers, all new personalized USBs, and more. And we've got bundles. You want your name in the CD liner notes for all time? You want to hear the record a week early? You can! And the best part, the more you support us, the greater your chances are of winning.
There he is. The last 2 years have been wild. We released Blow, To the Gallows, and performed at a bunch of live stream concerts. We also performed at sold-out shows, festivals, and our first ever theater performance. The last 2 years have been very successful for us, even without regular shows, and it's all thanks to you. That's why for every $5 you spend pre-ordering Reload, you will be entered in to win a prize pack from some of our favorite local and independent Ontario businesses.
First up, we've got an assorted 6-pack from our sponsors at Muskoka Brewery. Get this 6-pack along with your very own official Muskoka snapback hat. Next, we've partnered with Hades Coffee to create our very own blend. Be the first to try Reloaded, an extra caffeinated dark roast with notes of chocolate and whiskey before its official launch. We've been sponsored by Chica's Chicken, Toronto's best spot for Nashville hot chicken. Chica's Chicken has very generously donated a $40 gift card for you to win. We've also been sponsored by our good friends at Sock Bro. Win a set of 3 pairs of socks from Canada's Crazy Sock Shop. And finally, as a grand prize, we have an Amazon Echo Dot smart speaker. Hey Alexa, play One in the Chamber's new album, Reload.
All of whom have graciously sponsored One in the Chamber.
And this is our way of thanking you for supporting us over all these years, and our way of thanking some of our favorite businesses. Now, we've been sitting on this music for 2 years. 2 years. We love it, I love it, you're gonna love it too, so thank you for pre-ordering Reload.
Well, there you have it. One in the Chamber releasing our brand new EP, Reload, on
April 8th, 2022.
For every $5 you spend on our pre-order campaign, you can be entered in to win some killer prizes from our favorite Ontario realtors. From Sock Bro to Muskoka Brewery, we have what you want. I'm Mike from One in the Chamber, and this has been One in the Chamber.
She was like, I saw this thing. Have you seen it yet? Mike's fucking hilarious.
You haven't seen the best of Mike's performance. There is more.
Oh, I can't wait.
There is more. And yeah, those videos are coming in the next week or so. But like this is just the tip of the iceberg for Mike Biase, actor.
With the upcoming release of our new EP, Reload, One in the Chamber is beyond proud to be sponsored by Muskoka Brewery, One in the Chamber's favorite brewery. With every $5 you spend pre-ordering Reload, you will be entered to win a local Ontario prize pack. My favorite of the prizes includes an assorted 6-pack sampler of Muskoka, their crisp lager, their supple cream ale, and their Mad as Mad Tom IPA. Woo! My shorts are wet. Pre-order our new EP, Reload, and you could be entered in to win a Muskoka prize pack. Woo! Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I don't think Caroline had fun, though. We might have ruined the floors, but, you know.
I have to ask. So, because I've heard Blow, I've heard To the Gallows, and only because I was there while you were shooting the video, I heard Crooked Girl. But tell me about Crooked Girl. Like, how did that come about? How did you guys shape that song? Like, I'm actually super interested to know how you just even came about that song.
I think that one started all with Cecil.
That's all Cecil.
We're going back a number of years on this one.
It's supposed to like really just be part 2 to Crooked Step. It's Crooked Step. Like I wrote the lyrics about a guy, so I was like, okay, eventually, at some point, I'll write part 2, and it'll be about a girl. So that's kind of where the lyrics came from. And I wanted to have like a bridge between both the songs. So like Crooked Steps in D, and Crooked Girls in B minor, but they're kind of like relative keys to each other, so it's kind of cool. The bridges on both songs are almost the same. They're in the same progression. Also, so it's got that 1-part, 2-part kind of thing going on.
Yeah, I remember when we were figuring out, that one took a bit of work to get through. We were kind of vibing on it. Cecil had kind of a Maroon 5 kind of vibe for most of the song, especially the verses. That's where the bass that's where I got my inspiration from, was through Cecil, kind of like a groovy Maroon 5-y kind of bass thing. But I remember for the bridge, like we just couldn't vibe with what we were working with at the time.
There was a big tempo change, if I recall correctly. Like we sped up and then it slowed down, and
we tried not to do that.
Yeah, so thankfully, like it turned out great. But I remember we were spending quite a bit of time trying to figure out the bridge and how to work it into the rest of the song, because it's very abrupt if you think about it, you know. But we ended up working it out, and fits in nicely.
Man, I tell you straight up, I did not think Maroon 5 when I thought that.
Well, that's when Mike got involved, and I changed Cecil. I love Cecil's songs. They're usually my favorite songs on the album, this one included. But I always sing it completely differently to how Cecil shows me the song when he first introduces it to me.
Which is a really good thing too.
I think we all do. Like Cecil will bring ideas in and he'll say, Chris, play the bass like this, and Chris will play the bass like that for a week, and then like we'll come in with this bass line that's like a monster, and Cecil will be like, play the drums like this, and like I'm at a point now in our like band where I just look at him and be like, I will never drum how you request me to play the drums.
But we do appreciate the request.
I think we all kind of just organically write off of each other in that sense. I think it's become very natural for the four of us.
It's awesome to hear where you guys drive some sort of influence at least, and then to see where you fill it in, and then completely disregard whatever you might have been sitting on at that time. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot like Jared mentioned, it's organic, and it's a lot of building off of ideas. So where something is so simple to start with, it's cool to like see it grow over time and become what it turns out to be when we record it. And yeah, it's a really cool process that I guess all musicians are fortunate to go through when they're writing, and it's a lot of fun for us.
Yeah, it's also got like a lot of chords, which I wanted to like make a song for myself where I got just like a lot of chords playing instead of like lead lines. So that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah,
there's some nice chords in that song.
Man, yeah. And I was it's interesting. I was pointing out to my buddy who was setting up the electric drums in my studio this past weekend, and while I introduced him to you guys, I was telling him, I was like, it's really interesting because if you hear sort of like discordant or kind of like, I can't describe it other than saying discordant or creepy, but like you get that dark kind of soloing. I was like, that's Cecil right there. He's in that pocket. He's getting kind of like, he's getting dark. He's throwing that in there. That's super metal, whatever else. And then I was like, but if you hear some sort of like major drop in the solo and it's like, it still hits the pocket, it's right in there. I was like, that's Mike. And you can tell the difference between your guys soloing because one is super dark and the other one is like, no, fuck that darkness. I'm going to bring light to the situation. And I don't know if you guys plan that or not, but like that to my ear, that's how it works. Because when I watch you guys at Voodoo Fest, right, I didn't realize until then that I was like, oh, fuck, like someone's playing this shit, and then Mike is playing this shit, and I was like, oh my god, these are it makes sense why it's so divergent, these two different types of guitar parts. And I don't know if you guys do that on purpose or if that's just like, hey, we're here and we're practicing and like let me rip and you go on. Like how does that work out?
I mean, it's definitely purposeful. Like we have two very I guess agreeable styles, but they're also very different from where we come from. Like I grew up listening to a lot of blues and 80s metal, and I think that comes across a lot in my playing. But like, you know, it's totally different than where Cecil comes from as a guitar player, and the way that we learned how to play guitar too. And I think it really comes across when we're expressing ourselves in the solos too.
Yeah, like To the Gallows, and like when we were working on that one, I was like, if I'm gonna do a solo for this, I'm gonna make it just really simple and nice. And Mike said, well, then I want to solo too and do it crazier. I'm like, you do that and I'll do this, and that's just kind of how it worked out.
Yeah,
and that's like one of my favorite solos. It's super easy to play, but it's really fun and melodic.
It gives so much emotion to the song at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like a call and response thing, though.
Well,
but
dude, I mean, like when we write too, we are a live band. Like we love going into the studio, but we started as a live band and we put a lot into our live shows. And when we write songs, especially now that we've done this twice in recording, we think about the recording process and how it's going to sound in an album setting. But when we're writing stuff, especially all together, it's for the live show. So like when we go on stage, the four of us, we are pretty wild. I don't know, for those of you who have seen our live show, we go pretty hard. And it shows in the way that we play too, especially the comparison between the two guitars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it also shows in your body language when you're playing, and I think To the Gallows is the perfect example with the two guitar solos. And I think, yeah, it's just live. It's your when you're playing those solos, your body language says it all. You know, you see Mike playing his guitar solo, and he's like this explosive rock god on that stage. And he's just like ripping up those like this like huge rock guitar solo. And then earlier in the song, you see Cecil kind of like more with like the not charismatic, but like more of.
Hey, you're not charismatic, Cecil. Just that out there.
My followers are like chilling on the side with like a glass of whiskey and just like having.
Yeah, like Cecil brings that like that strut and that swag.
Sophistication.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes.
And I think it's a really cool contrast. And like Mike mentioned, it works really well with the overall sound of the band, but the contrast is just very cool. And it makes the music that much more interesting to listen to, I think.
Absolutely. And when I was actually reviewing that song initially, and I love that you brought that up, because when I first was like, oh, To the Gallows, this song, blah, 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 this is amazing. You know, of course, because it's you guys. But when I first thought of it, it was just like, there's this like dark solo, and then suddenly there's this like major key solo that is just like hardcore, like 80s hair metal solo, whatever. And I was just like, man, how the fuck? Like, that's awesome. It's interesting that they divide that. And then of course all I have to do is like pay attention to who the fuck is playing the guitar. And then it was like, oh, that makes so much sense, because Cecil's playing that dark, and I've noticed this all the way through all the songs you guys do. When Cecil's doing a solo, and I hope I'm not stepping on toes here. I hope I'm not, being overbearing here, but there is this quality that is slightly discordant, slightly creepy, slightly like whatever. It's slightly minor key, like kind of you're driving in that sort of realm of things, and I love it. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, but you can definitely hear it in Blow. Like it's a fun guitar solo. It's like it's out of its place, but then it comes back, then it jumps out again and comes back. I'm a disturbing individual, so that's what I like.
Yes, I think all deserve to listen to that solo.
When you guys released that song, I don't know if you know what the fuck effect that had on me, but I already thought you guys were like the fucking most dynamite metal band in Canada.
Damn. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Deal with it. But like, but when that hit with those like first like dan, dan, and then like eventually when the solo hit, I was just like, this is amazing. So tell me about Baby Doll. How did that come about? Because I've heard obviously 3 of the 5 songs, and then only just recently when Jared sent me the links, I've heard 2 new songs, which is wonderful. I heard the song that the Alice Cooper video is going to be based on. I'm super excited about that. But tell me about Baby Doll first.
If I recall correctly, we were at practice, not even set up. And for some reason, Cecil was set up first. And he just started playing that riff. And this was kind of one of those moments, I think, where we went into practice to rehearse for a show, and we ended up writing a song instead. But he started playing that riff, and for me, it was kind of like, holy shit, that's a really cool riff. And instantly my mind was like, what would Clyde Summerfield play behind James Brown? And I just kind of laid down this like offbeat thing, and then Chris plugged in and he started kind of watching Cecil play and then playing along. And it was one of those moments where Mike grabs his lyric book and starts like pulling out a pen, and I don't know where these words come from, but like they just get on paper somehow, and we kind of had a song pretty quickly, I think.
Those are how a lot of our songs come. Like, I mean, especially for the lyrics, Something to Say was the same way. I can't remember who played the riff, but I just went straight into I got something to say, and it like the whole song just came from that. Baby Doll was the same way. To the Gallows, when Cecil was goofing around on that delay pedal, and then we just did that scream into the core. Like, that's how a lot of our great songs come, is just we like all click, and then we just, okay, we're gonna stop everything we're doing, and it works.
We hear that something is hot, and we're all like, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, it's cool. It all comes together. And so, yeah, Baby Doll, I would say, is one of our more straightforward songs, but it's got probably my favorite guitar solo on the EP on there.
Don't remind me.
Dread City.
Oh, super.
Baby,
And plays the whole thing. It's like best of both worlds. The first part, he's got like his Cecil guitar solo, the jazzy kind of like Avenged Sevenfold kind of stuff, and then like
Event Sevenfold. Sorry, go on though. That's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, like more jazzy, and like I love that Cecil has that influence in his playing. And then like the second half, he just explodes into this like huge rock solo with like a wah pedal in there, and it just sounds so cool. And I actually remember before I joined the band, in my previous band, I had written a song that would later become Stage Lights, that I brought into the band when I joined this one. And the original guitar solo for Stage Lights was actually supposed to be the kind of solo that Baby Doll has, and I wanted like that kind of like long, epic, like big solo. And the rest of the guys, well, at the end, we all thought that it was a bit long for the song at the time. But I'm just glad that I finally get that huge, epic solo in a rock song that's ours. And yeah, I think it's one of my favorites that Cecil plays.
Yeah, Baby Doll is like the I've got something to say from like the last record. It's got the toughest solo off the record, and I usually have to be like super warmed up or I'm gonna screw it up on stage.
Which is why we play it first or second in the set.
I'm not fully warmed up, and I like that build up to that solo. I'm just like, you know, saying a little prayer. I'm like, I hope I make it. Yeah, like recording it's one thing, but like playing it from start to finish without fucking up it can be hard. So
yeah, and
sometimes
so
when we're making, sorry for cutting you off.
that's okay, man.
We're making like a set list for like a show, and I'm like, oh, that song's not on there. Yes. That crazy guitar solo. Oh, thank God.
Yeah. So writing the song was the beginning. It was pretty quick to get the vibe, if I remember. Like Jared quickly came up with that cool drum beat. Mike had his lyrics going, and I was following what Cecil was doing. And I was never fully comfortable with my bass part until maybe like a few weeks before we actually recorded it. And I'd come up with that walking bass line kind of thing that you hear in the recording. But before that, I was mostly following the guitar, the rhythm guitar. And it felt kind of empty. So I ended up coming up with that walking thing, which I like a lot better. But we were actually playing that live, and it sounded good enough live, but I think it really came together when we all finalized our parts before recording, and turned out really well.
Yeah, I would agree. It turned out fucking great. So Cecil, is Sinister Gates an influence?
Oh, he's my favorite guitar player.
Is he really? Like legit?
I went to school for jazz because he went to school for jazz. That's the only reason I went.
That's the only reason you went to guitar school for jazz? I didn't know that.
That is the most Cecil Eugene thing I think he has said in recent memory.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that was it. I'm like, because the entire plan was to be in a band, and you know, I graduated from high school, and I was like, I want to go on tour, and my parents were like, nope, you're not going on tour anywhere. You are going and getting a piece of paper that says graduate from York University. They didn't care what I got as long as I got that. You know, it's a Brown thing. So I was like, well, if you're gonna force me to go to university, I'm gonna go for jazz. They're like, well, sounds good. Do your paperwork, and so that's why I went.
Well, he did a great job.
Met Jared and met Mike.
It's amazing how much sense that makes.
Oh, it was hard. It was still pretty hard, but it was a lot of fun.
I don't doubt that it was fucking difficult. I can't read a lick of music, so if it makes you feel anything. But hearing that, and like hearing Christian saying like, yeah, like that sort of Avenged Sevenfold shit that was going on, and hearing you saying Sinister Gates is your fucking like top guitar player,
Yeah,
and then you went to school because of that. Like, I hear it, man. So we talked about Baby Doll briefly.
Mhm.
How about Oysters and Champagne? Because I know there's an epic music video to come eventually, perhaps. But I
It's
would
in the
love to-
ether. It's been thought of.
Oh, it's been thought of,
Yeah.
but to hear the song, it's like it requires. And when Jared's told me a lot about this potential music video, and obviously you guys have mentioned bits and pieces when I've seen you guys. I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan, so to hear anything about that video makes me fucking rock hard. Like I'm just I'm so ready for this video. And then when Jared was like, yeah, maybe you could, like, whenever we shoot it, you can maybe be in the thing. And I was like, oh. I was like, yeah, get me in an Alice Cooper like video. Fine, cool. I don't even care if it's him or not. I don't care. Put me in the thing. Whatever. I don't care what you do. You dress me up like a lady. I don't care. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
You should dress up as a priest for it.
I will.
I'm getting a priest vibe off you.
You're hired.
Well, it's definitely in the planning stages right now, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so it's gonna come, but we're still planning. Still planning.
You'll know though. You'll know when it's happening.
Absolutely.
So tell me about. Never mind the video. Sorry, I realized I was putting you on the spot. But so never mind the video. But what about the song? Tell me about the song, Oysters and Champagne. I mean, I love both of those things. I'm pretty broke ass as shit, but I love a good Ponzi time. So tell me about Oysters and Champagne.
So
it's funny that you say enjoying both of those things, because I could remember distinctly long before this was ever a song, after a recording session for I've Got Something to Say, Mike and I went to a seafood restaurant at like 10 p.m. and just ate oysters. And I said, all I want is for this record to be big enough that I can just go out and get oysters just because I feel like it. That has still not quite happened yet, but that was the idea. That being said, though, oysters, not to sound like a broken record, that was another moment so similar to Baby Doll. I think we needed one more song for the record, and Cecil just played that riff, and like once again, like Chris and I just kind of looked at each other like, that's the shit. And started playing, and like Mike was like running out to his car because he left his book in his car, and I think like in 2 hours the song was more or less done. Like I don't really remember writing it, because I think we just showed up and had a song.
Yeah, I remember. I think Cecil started out with the riff, and I think the riff was something from another song that Cecil had.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you should listen to Oysters and then listen to Gallows again. It's the same riff. One is just.
Oh, okay.
So we were trying to put Oysters, the riff, somewhere into Gallows, but they're two different speeds and the vibe is not the same. So I was like, well, if you can't put it in, we'll just use that and make it a different song. Maybe like it could be part 1 and part 2. And that's kind of where that riff kind of went a separate direction, and there was more possibilities, where Gallows is much more simpler.
Yeah, and
That's
so
what I remember. But the Oysters took I think it took like almost the longest to write, because there's a lot of technical stuff, and Chris had to come over to my house and we had to sit for hours and like figure out our parts together to see if it worked. It took a lot of work.
yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that. I remember we were working on, like, I was trying to come up with
couch. It was this couch too.
on that couch, yeah. And then one thing led to another, and the rest is history. I'm just kidding, but anyway, we were writing harmonies, and there's those cool runs in Oysters leading up into the second verse and the chorus and stuff, and I wanted to come up with a bass part that complemented the guitar, as usual. It's usually my approach with writing one in the chamber songs, but I went over to Cecil's and we came up with some cool harmonies and cool runs that really brought the song alive. And actually, Cecil, you remember the chords in the third verse?
Yes. Yes, I forgot about that.
So
I didn't read the record, thank God.
Recording, yeah. Before going into recording, I had thought the third verse, I needed something to be added into the third verse. And I don't know if the rest of the guys felt that way, but to me, I felt like the third verse couldn't be the same as the first two. Otherwise, to me, it sounded a bit dragged on. So I thought adding these cool chords in the background, and Cecil came up with the chords. It was part of another thing he had come up with to use for a future song or whatever.
It's another riff for a future song, which will probably not happen now.
Yeah, we do that a lot when we're recording. You know, we come up with a lot of stuff on the fly when we're recording. The piano part that Cecil put into the Gallows, we did that during production. And there's a lot of things, like one of my favorite parts about In Crooked Girl is how we do the ending. And that I got to give full credit to Murray for, because he sort of changed how we did the ending there. So we do a lot of writing all the way up until the point we record it, and it comes together quickly, and then it's refined for a long time before it ends up being recorded.
Yeah, that last chorus in Crooked Girl was all Murray. Like the way it brings back that sort of introduction with the hits, and then the way it ends like that. Like, I don't know. At this point I don't even remember how we used to end it, but like he was just like, we're gonna simplify this and it's gonna work. And instantly we're all like, oh, why didn't we do that? Like
the magic of the studio.
Yeah, Murray's great at bringing the best out of songs.
So you have these 5 epic songs, 2 of which have already released, and you've got 3 on the way for April 8th, right?
April 8th.
So do you feel like you have something to say?
But
I have to. Here I am, a lowly bullshit music journalist, so I have to do it.
More than welcome.
Thanks. But seriously, I mean, having released Bills to Pay, and having come all this way, and now you have this new EP of 5 songs, 2 of which you've released that are fucking dynamite. Where do you see this going once released, this EP? Like, what are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, just getting to this point has been it's been too, like, you and I spoke about this a while ago, because you wanted to do the documentary of us making the record, and the record at that point had already been made. And just finding, like, we went into the studio pre-pandemic, like January, February 2020, and all of this stuff, this interview was supposed to happen 2 years ago. Like everything that we're doing right now, I was talking to someone today. It feels so good to be making these steps forward, but at the same time, it feels like we're playing catch up. You know what I mean? Because we had all these plans, and then we had all these new plans, and then we had all these new plans on the new plans, and I don't know how many plans we had until we're here. So just getting to this point is very exciting. The album drops on April 8th, but we're currently planning for a release show to happen in most likely May in Toronto. And from there, we're going to try and play as many shows throughout the summer, the fall, the winter, just as many shows to play catch up for the fact that the last 2 years have been strange. That's the goal for now.
Yep, and we love playing live, so that's what we got to get back out and do. It's the most fun part.
Good show.
Yeah.
I had a friend, by the way, Mike. I had a couple of friends come out when we saw you guys live at the Rose, and we were trying to get whatever angles we could on filming, whatever. We had 2 people in the audience who went out to watch you, and when you closed the show, my friend came back afterwards and she was like, that was a fucking ballsy move, closing with fucking Immigrant Song by fucking Zeppelin. And I was like, yeah, a super ballsy move. Was it not awesome? And she was like, yeah, it was pretty fucking good. I mean, like, considering anyone covers Zeppelin, like, yeah, I have to give it to them. So, like, even your covers are hitting it. And also, when we first finally saw you live, which was at Voodoo Fest, we watched you do. I believe you also did Immigrant Song that day, but
yeah, we probably did.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, probably it's fine, but in addition,
play at the next show too.
Why not? By Velvet Revolver, which is one like I remember through high school. That was like one of the main songs that we hit out, and with a singer who was not fantastic, and I was doing the Duff McKagan backup vocals, which is tantamount to just going, hey. So
that's what I do.
So, however, we didn't have a vocalist like Mike to actually do like the brunt of the work. So it always like tore my soul a little bit to do it live. But to hear you guys do it, I was like, we don't even need Scott Whalen to be here.
Yeah.
Because you guys are here to do the fucking song, so it's all good. And yeah, it's dynamite. Like even your covers are fucking solid.
Oh, that's one of my favorite ones to do. Slither is up there. It's so much fun. So much fun to do. We did that at our first show ever. We played Slither.
Just imagine my surprise as a jazz student at York being invited to go practice with another jazz student at York. And the first thing he says to me is, do you know Slither by Velvet Revolver? And I'm like, what did you say to me? He's like, do you know Slither by Velvet Revolver? I'm like, of course I do. He's like, hey, we're going to play that.
Yeah.
And that set the tone.
Yeah, because I'd seen Mike do it in his old band at a show. And I was like, oh, he knows the song. That's good to know for the future. When I asked him to join my band and then I'll meet Jared and then we'll all know how to play Slither. And then Christian's like, yeah, I know how to play Slither too. So that was probably the first we did not have to learn as a band.
And Christian, I'm on your level in this one because when we did that song, I was a bassist of the band. So I know that shit, at least for that song. Not for anything else you do, but for at least
Nice,
at least
man.
for that song, I hear you, man. And it's a super fun riff just to fuck around with because it's all up and down, so it's super fun. And
It's a lot of fun, and I like that it's just always heavy.
Yeah.
Where the guitar goes up and does the lead lines and stuff, you're still, and during the verses where you're just like laying down that bass line, and it's a lot of fun for me too to play. It's a great song, honestly.
Here, that's the same way because even though at least when I was doing it, the lead singer was questionable. It was super fun to play the song. So I was just like, no, I'm having a good time regardless of what the fuck happened to you.
Yeah.
You lucked out because you actually have a fucking dynamite singer in addition to your dynamite bass playing. So that helps. But
I appreciate the compliment. And I agree, Mike is the best singer I ever had. So
I thought you were going to say, I agree, I'm a dynamite bass player.
I can't take all the credit.
Bit, but for the bass you can. So that being said, so in terms of jazz musicians, so that was Cecil, that was you approaching Jared about saying like, hey.
I knew Mike through mutual friends, so I asked him first. Then it took us about like a month to find Jared, and then like another 2 months to find Chris. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, Cecil and I already knew each other.
Yeah, from high school. I knew Mike from York, and I met Jared at a jazz night that I threw at the local pub.
Hands down, the worst show I've ever played in my life. It was the equivalent of sending in a resume that said, "I don't know what to do," and yet still Cecil was like, do you want to join a band with me? I have a singer." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, landed you one in the chamber, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. If Chris and Mike were there and Cecil was like, "That's the guy," I think both of them would have been like, "No." It was a complete mess. I was filling in for a friend of mine, and like they didn't tell me anything. They stopped playing, and I was like, "Oh, the song's done." And they were like, "No, you do a drum solo." And I'm like, they prepped me that as we all stopped in front of an audience. It was a mess. It was awful.
In his defense, he played the midnight set, so no one was really paying attention.
Yeah.
That makes it all okay. Nobody was listening, Jared.
Cecil was listening. Cecil was listening.
I don't remember your set at all because I was working at the bar, so like I was doing things and getting my cleaning done, so I wasn't really fully paying attention.
So he just understood that you were a drummer. That's it. That's the only qualification.
I've seen that guy around York before. Is he new? He's like, yeah, he's in I think he was in like first year. You were in first year, right?
Second or third.
Okay.
I don't know anymore. I don't know.
How does it feel being part of one of the best metal bands in Canada?
Fucking kick ass.
Right?
Yeah. We're all trying to.
It's beer exploding all over your kitchen table. Fucking kick ass.
Sorry, I'm holding whiskey. Is that okay?
All good, man. Yeah, you know what? Like, I gotta say, like, we're really proud of where we've gotten, and we're extremely proud to finally be releasing this EP and to be going forward with this really fun pre-order campaign. Been waiting for like 2 years for this, and yeah, I'm just like super proud. I think Jared's done a great job with organizing most of it, and with the website and the whole like store and stuff. And I'm really proud. It's like it's paying off. The work we put in is paying off, and it's amazing to see the excitement in everybody that's anticipating the release, and to see all the awesome comments and stuff. And man, it's just like, it's awesome. That's why we do what we do,
Yeah. It's, by the way, Marla's super excited to try the One in the Chamber brand Hades coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's all you got me in connection with Hades, and yeah, it's really good coffee.
It's so good. It is so good.
At it, eh? You've already had a go at it.
Yeah, this has been in the works for a while now. I think I came up with the raffle idea in early 2021, and I started talking to, I guess it was around this time last year, I started talking to Andrew at Hades Coffee, and when we were like, yeah, like I just wanted him to work with us, and it was him. He was just like, "What if I made you your own coffee?" And like when I started talking to him, that was not even crossing my mind. I wasn't going to ask someone to make us our own coffee. I didn't know you could ask someone to make us our own coffee. And one of the first things he says in our first phone call, he's just like, "What if I just make you a coffee? Like, your album's called Reload. Why don't we call it Reloaded?" And I was like, why don't we? Yeah. I was really, really happy with the coffee.
Yeah, it tastes great. I had it once. I was actually responding to a Facebook comment of Dawn Faller, who I feel like everybody knows Dawn because she's so supportive of the local scene, especially in the GTA in Toronto. And I was saying, like, the coffee is tasty. I've had it once before, and I had it in a One in the Chamber mug. So it was almost like too much One in the Chamber to handle. I was like, this is overkill. But no, the coffee was actually very tasty. And I'm not the biggest coffee drinker, but it was great. So kudos to Hades Coffee. They make great coffee.
Just in terms of the title of your EP, how do you feel with it being compared to something like Load or Reload by Metallica?
Oh, that's a Chris question.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind when we were discussing album titles, and I don't mind it. I think like any comparison to Metallica, as you know, Metallica is my favorite band, as I let everybody know. I think any comparison to Metallica is a good one, and
unless it's a comparison to Lars. I will put that stipulation in there.
No comment. He's got great charisma on stage, so I'll give him that. But I think the concept behind the name, that it's our sequel to, not like not a thematic sequel, but it's kind of like our second release, our follow-up to our debut, and the whole concept behind our band name. I think Reload kind of makes sense, and I think it's a fitting name for our second EP.
I think if I've got something to say, was us trying to take that one shot. Reload is us saying back again.
Yeah, I think it works really well. So
yeah, and also some of the songs on the Reload record, we started working on it while I've Got Something to Say was out, and you were promoting that record, and at the same time we were writing new stuff, which eventually became the songs on this. So we were also playing those live to see if they if they worked and if they clicked well with the other songs. So it's kind of like they're part two of the first record, almost, in a weird-ish kind of way.
Yeah, part two, but like I think we've grown a lot as songwriters too, and these songs are probably some of our best songs we have, to this day. So it's cool. It's kind of like this evolution, which I think is always great as a band to do, is to always have your songs grow.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that being said, not to like get onto like a Metallica tangent, but I know Load and Reload get a lot of backlash because like it's like a change of sound for Metallica, but those are great albums in their own right. And I just want to say that I have to generally be in the mood to listen to them. When I'm
it's great, but I'll only listen to it sometimes. I don't know.
They're great. You have to prepare yourself to be like, all right, this is 90s Metallica, not 80s Metallica, but it's still all great music. I mean, Bob Rock is a fantastic producer, and he put out some great records with Metallica.
Oh, sorry, with Metallica. No, but seriously though. So, Chris, Cliff Burton or Jason Newsted?
Oh man, you know what's funny is
somebody asked me that question.
Hodder asked me the same question when I was on his podcast.
Who did?
Pardon?
Who did?
TJ Hodder. He's got a podcast called The Hodder Show.
The fuck out! I thought you said Kane Hodder, and I was like, Jason Voorhees asked you what the fuck? Sorry, go on.
Maybe one day. But anyway, to answer your question, Cliff Burton is one of my favorite bass players ever. That being said, Jason Newsted is a monster. I think he made Metallica even more metal. Like, he was just so metal. His playing was killer. His stage presence was just like monstrous. So I think he brought something to Metallica that Metallica didn't have before and hasn't had since. But each of their bass players, I think, brought something amazing to their music. That being said, I'm still biased for Cliff Burton because he was just so innovative, and I'm obsessed with his sound. So
fucking genius. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. I mean, yeah, it was 84 that he died.
I believe it was 84. They were touring for Master of Puppets. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real shame.
Yeah. But so I know now your idols on that one. Mike, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Robert Plant, maybe. I don't know. Who's your favorite musician? I have to find out.
I'm a big fan of Bob Plant. Yeah, I put him somewhere near the top for sure. Yeah.
But you can't wear the shirt of every girl you fucked afterwards, right? Because you're married.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I do
Yeah,
it
you
anyway.
can wear your wife's shirt though. That would be cool.
I was just gonna say I do it anyway. Yeah.
You're wearing the same.
I have to say, as soon as Marla, when we watched you at Voodoo Fest, she was like, somehow I feel like he really likes Robert Plant. And then you all did Immigrant Song. And she was like, yep, called that shit. And I was like, all right, fine. To find out that big influence, I suppose, Robert Plant.
Oh, huge. Like I grew up listening to what my parents listened to. And my dad listened to Led Zeppelin every morning, taking me to school, and every day on the way home, picking me up.
Your dad is awesome.
Oh yeah, it was a great musical upbringing. So Robert Plant is definitely like the top of my list for my musical idols. Absolutely.
Nice. And who else, if I may ask, beyond Robert Plant?
Well, James Hetfield, especially for One in the Chamber, like he is up there with Robert Plant for who I feel like when you're I don't know if that's the right word, but like you're coming up as a singer and you're trying to pick who to cover and what songs to do with your cover band in high school. Like you pick the ones that come naturally to you because you've heard them and you feel like, oh, this is how I sing. This is the most natural way for me to sing. So Robert Plant, like you can't sing like Robert Plant. It's impossible. Just nobody can do it. I mean, I don't know. Like, some people come very close, and there are some great bands out there who do a very good Robert Plant thing. And I like to think that I do a version of a Robert Plant thing. Yeah. And it just like, like I said, it comes naturally to me. I really like him. I think Anthony Kiedis, for all his worth, is not only a great songwriter, but I think he's a fantastic singer. And like these are guys that I wanted to sing like and that I covered when I was growing up playing in cover bands and playing with my friends. So
what's awesome about that?
I crushed Mississippi Queen when I was in high school.
Oh man. Can I please hear One in the Chamber version of Mississippi Queen? Because that's got to be metal.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
That'd be fun.
Any excuse to actually bring a cowbell out, I'm down.
I've got a fever.
Oh,
and I've got 3 cowbells.
And the only cure.
4. I've got them.
Small cowbell.
How many cowbells do you need? Isn't that like a one-time purchase?
Only things more. I don't know if anybody heard what you said, Anthony, but I liked it.
No,
I liked it too. I liked it.
But that being said, so Mike, Anthony Kiedis and James Hetfield and Robert Plant. Like, I mean, so I've compared you guys' music to a lot of different bands before. I think I threw the Chili's in there at one point, but you have this degree of relative funk within this metal as fucking vibe that you're doing, which is awesome. So like, yeah, I totally buy that shit. That's brilliant.
Well, growing up, like I want to play and I want to sing what I like. And, I have this huge influence from my parents from what I listened to. But then I have this huge influence from music that was coming up and around like with my friends too. And we all listened to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And, so that was definitely a big part of how I wanted to sing and how I saw myself singing. And because of that, and because all 4 of us come from different veins, we write songs like Blow and To the Gallows and Crooked Girl and put them all on the same EP. and oysters and champagne. Like we just, we play what we want to play, what's fun for us. And a lot of times, especially with the lyrics, I write what I hear and what I feel from the music that Cecil comes up with, or that Christian like writes on the bass, or that Jared comes in and like,
Right, on the bass.
up in the bass.
Yeah.
You should get a shirt with his face and him just doing this.